We've grown up with very similar ways of thinking and interests. I think we naturally progressed together. For us, art was all about what inspired you as an individual and also what reflected your own aesthetic interests and tastes. Well, I just came across this diary when I was tidying up, and I haven't seen it for years, actually. Haven't read it for years. The diary that I kept when we went to India back in 1980, yeah. In the winter of 1980, I think.
No, but it took us a month to get there, remember, because we went across land through Europe, so that took at least 4 weeks. I think we probably left in December, and we actually arrived into India, Pakistan, India, around about February.
Yeah, you'll never ever forget it.
I think it's ingrained, don't you?
I mean, it was just like a fantasy world.
Definitely. Growing up, we never really intended to become artists. Art was always something we actually went to school with a view to become doctors. Our father is a GP, and it was something naturally that we wanted to follow in his footsteps.
They tried to get into medical school, but every time they went for an interview, the subject would turn to art, you see. We believe you're very good at art, and so on. So I encouraged anything that they were interested in. I encouraged. So I had this idea that we must learn as much as we can about India. It's that sort of feeling that I wanted to go back, and I felt that they needed to know a bit about the Indian background, and so the ideal way was, of course, to go by road.
But once we got to India, it was just so amazing. I mean, it was a life-changing experience for us.
When we started the journey, you look at some of the drawings that we did in the book, they're very Christian orientated. As we travel through into India, the imagery changes from Hindu mythology to Sikh mythology to aspects of Indian history.
And it was then really that we first came across the Indian miniature style of painting, this very ancient tradition that just totally bowled us over. We were amazed by the technical skill, by the sheer decorative, the beauty of the decorative quality, the narrative, the intricate symbolism that's expressed through these works. And we were quite surprised, really, and upset to see that the Indian miniature style had no place within contemporary art in India. I think from that point onwards, we'd more or less found our style, our language, if you like, as artists. We term our work as past modern. It's a specific phrase that we've created, if you like, to describe our work. Just going to get some water, I think.
So basically, I think what they wanted was something on the London riots, something political, wasn't it? And they're saying, what was that? London Bridge, World War bombing of London, and linking in the riots as a recent political event.
It was also an expression of the way that we feel we see our work, that we are very much about documenting society around us. We see ourselves as social and political commentators and documenters. So, I mean, there are works like 1984, for example, where we're looking at a specific event where the Indian government attacked the Golden Temple, which is the centre of the Sikh faith, and they sent the army into the temple. It resulted in a lot of loss of innocent lives, something that wasn't broadcast at the time because there was a complete media blackout. So that is something that's very personal to our own hearts, that subject because immediately we had a reaction to that as coming from the Sikh community. But it was something that we used to broaden the whole debate about political corruption generally. So although the painting focuses on that golden temple, there's also other details within that work that point to the fact that this experience happened to the Sikh community, but it's not unique to the Sikh community. So it's important really for us to, whenever we can, is to highlight where the Sikh community fits into the bigger picture. We've always been very determined, I suppose, from day one that because of the cultural prejudice that we've had towards our work, we should always try and push those boundaries to make sure that our work is always shown on a mainstream platform. So there's various decisions we've made throughout our career. Sometimes they've paid off and sometimes they haven't. For further education, we both went to Liverpool University College, Chester. Indian miniature style was seen as backward and outdated by our tutors. I think there came a point where we felt that compromising our work too much was to lose our integrity, if you like, as artists. The fact that we were so determined to explore the Indian miniature in our work really went against us in the long run, but it did have very serious consequences in that one of the examiners refused to mark a dissertation that we'd handed in as part of the final degree course. It was confided in us eventually that he basically hadn't liked what we'd written about the impact of non-European art forms on Western art. There was a huge debate within the university. The whole issue really became quite public because obviously we wanted to challenge that opinion of his. Eventually, thankfully, we were vindicated. It was found in the end that this particular tutor had no reason or right not to designate a grade for our work. The battle was never really solved because there were ongoing issues, so to this day we don't have our degree.
We'll start at the top. Where else do you do I'm actually going to keep this quite light because I think when you put too thick a layer.
Whilst we were fighting our degree, we felt that we should make effective use of our time, and we had started officially to promote our work as artists. It's been an uphill battle to get recognition for the work that we've wanted to pursue as artists. But I think in the end it's something that we wouldn't have changed. I mean, it's made us who we are and it's given us a real sort of focus and aim and purpose in the work that we do as artists. I think without the support of our family, you know, particularly our father and our uncles, who've kind of always been there and said, twins, you know, come on, you've got to fight it, you know, don't kind of let them get the better of you.
When I look back now, how far they've achieved and what they've done, I feel quite blessed.
We've done many works, like All That I Am, for example, which features our father, and he has been a very strong figure in our lives and a great support in our lives, so he features quite a bit in a number of our works.
I thought she was saying all that as I'm boasting that all that I am, but I sort of felt a bit embarrassed about it. But she said, no, Daddy, it's not all you are, it's all I am, we are. I think the most beautiful thing, I think, is the fact that their work is being appreciated by our own community now, and the community in general. In the world for that matter, because there are paintings all over the world now.
the director of the Glasgow Gallery of Modern Art, commissioned our very first public art piece for the gallery, which is Mr. Singh's India. We were not just exhibiting, but now being part of the formal public collections of British mainstream galleries, and that piece has now found a permanent space in the Calvin Grove Museum in Glasgow. So we really feel that it has come to represent how our work is now being perceived as part of mainstream documentation of British and Scottish identity and culture.
As part of our interest in Sikh memorabilia, we collect anything pertaining to the Sikhs which is printed pre-1930s. One of the main focuses within that is the image of Dalip Singh, who was the son of Ranjit Singh, the founder of the Sikh kingdom in Punjab, who were talking to the Royal Museums of Scotland about a project which will involve us being commissioned to do an artwork around Dalip Singh's life, but also a chance to show the artefacts that they have relating to his life.
Okay, so these are the objects for the first time I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Treasure.
wow. Oh, that's amazing.
Which one would you like to?
I think this one. Let's go for the big one first. Okay, so this is a pendant.
Yeah. As far as I have been attached to
a
it.
droplet or something there, maybe. And then...
Would you like to open it? Or?
I'd love to. Now there's
Okay.
something inside. Okay, personal ornament of gold, emeralds, rubies from Maharaja Dalip Singh's collection. Date at Christie's, and I can't remember what that word is, 1899, but I'm not sure Christie's, and is it another auction house?
Yeah, maybe they.
So it was
sold it
auctioned in
together.
1899.
Yeah, this
That's
was
not-
one of the auctions. He had a.
I think that idea of valuing our own heritage and feeling that it was just as important, you know, within the world context of culture and heritage as any other culture really gave us the strength to kind of put our foot down and made us more determined, if you like, to pursue the Indian miniature style and to make it relevant for today, because the idea of Britishness is not what it used to be. It is the multicultural Britain that people often talk about because they've been impacted on by whether it's Indian or Chinese or African cultures. We had quite a conflict when we were told that we'd been awarded an MBE, because the unabbreviated meaning of MBE is Member of the British Empire. Because a lot of our work is about challenging imperialism and the whole aspect of empire, and particularly because of the historical relationship between Britain and India. And I think the decision in the end to actually accept the MBE was really more about, from being told that the work that you want to do and the style of work that you want to follow is worthless and has no value in contemporary life. From that, moving to, we're giving you this award because of the impact that you've made within contemporary art, it's a huge step. And I think for that reason alone, we were really, well, I guess bowled over to be able to, accept that.
Yeah, I think maybe we overanalyzed the MBE side of things, the interpretation, and we felt, okay, I think just to take it in the spirit in which it was given was the better thing to do.
The MBE was quite a colossal step, I think, to be recognised. I think it's one of the best days of my life, really. I think it's fabulous. It was absolutely, going into that very impressive Buckingham Palace. You stand outside and you look at Buckingham Palace, but actually going inside. The ceremony was absolutely fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic.
It just means that one more artist sees, hopefully, that we've been able to achieve something. It'll encourage them to keep going, if you like.
Good afternoon, visitors, and welcome to the Museum of Liverpool. We are delighted to welcome the Singh Twins, who will be in conversation with Dr. Laura McCulloch, Curator of British Arts. The event will include a screening of their award-winning animation, The Making of Liverpool, and an opportunity for prophesy.
So today we're sort of going to have this in conversation. I've met the Singh Twins several times now, and their work is absolutely fascinating. And I hope that you really enjoy finding out a bit more about the Singh Twins themselves, how they make their work, how the animation came about. Because Liverpool 800 became an animation, but how on earth did that happen? And was it your idea? Were you approached, and how did you feel about that?
Okay, well, I think we've always had an interest in film and animation, and we've always been really curious about how our work would translate into animation.
Liverpool, we paint with pride your story, so that far and wide, all will know you've come to be Europe's capital, culturally. 800 years displayed for all, beyond the steps of St. George's Hall.
I wanted to kind of go right back to the beginning, and drawing is absolutely essential to your work, but have you always been interested in drawing, and where did that come from?
Well, I think we've always been scribbling on, our father will tell you that we used to scribble on the walls before we used paper.
Yeah, no, you can.
But I think if you can make a difference in the world, even if it's just in a small way of changing someone's opinion or bringing them to something that they've never experienced before, I think that's very valuable, and it's very rewarding for us to be able to do that as artists.